Home, sweet home. The room was dark and dank, not deep, and she wanted, oh so much, to sleep. But Adele stood up and brushed herself down, and frowned really deeply as she looked around and thought, this is what our cellar's like? In a way, her initial thought was right. In the house's cellar she did alight, from her time-travelling hole thingy. But her observations were not that close, or she would have known the rows and rows of bottles of wine would not have survived in a house of her time, containing students, without having been consumed. Plus, what was with the great big pile of coal? With trepidation she ascended the stairs, pushing back her unruly hair, in an attempt to pretend she'd meant to be there. It was just research. How true. Real research, though, not pretend. But when she opened the cellar door, she was met with a stare she couldn't ignore. From a butler? She scrunched her eyes and stared a little closer. Nope, not one of her housemates dressed up. Was he some kind of imposer? No, imposter. It seemed he had the same thought as her, and he was tall and strong and burly, with a face as grim and surly as someone woken too early. And though she valiantly fought, good old kickboxing, she wasn't as good as she ought to have been by now. Add lack of practice to her list of faults. When she was held in some kind of lock thingy, with his and her arms all tangled and clingy, he said, "Filthy gutter snipe." Okay, she wasn't tall, but she wasn't a kid. No need to be rude. However, when words finally came out of her mouth, she did sound a bit Oliver. "Please, sir, what century is this?" "The coal hole. You broke in." Which was a strange answer. A conversation, it seemed, was unlikely to prove fruitful or sensible, or her situation improve. So she used her eyes and scanned the house, and was surprised to see a scurrying mouse, and a big open fireplace, and mirrors and pictures, and many no longer existing original fixtures, and something inside her wished they still existed, and the property had not been altered and twisted into modern and functional and sanitary and bright, robbed of all character for that bit of extra light. And then he slapped her. "Are you listening to me?" So she gritted her teeth and gave him his answer. A knee to the groin. That was the point when a beautiful woman, clearly of breeding but not of great wealth, exited the parlour with commendable stealth and said, "Charles, let her be." With disdain on his face he bowed his head and released his grip, as she had said. He straightened his jacket and stuck up his nose, a very unbecoming but classical pose, and waited. "You can go." "Madam." Adele tried out a minuscule smile, and the woman took her hand in a much gentler style, after which she rang and ordered tea, and they sat and they chatted nervously. Not about time travel, obviously, but she did question the steam-powered tea machine, and despaired about ever getting home. Because if you add in different realities, you get an infinite thing. You did realise she was in a different reality to start with, didn't you? Oh, so you think magic is real in yours? Interesting. And after she'd had her fill of cakes and buns, enough to last her for a few more home runs, as in trying to get home, not playing baseball, she thanked the woman and bade her farewell, then went outside, with her brain wrought pell-mell, wondering what the heck to do next. It hit her like a thump to the head. "Sorry, miss, we was just having a kick around." Okay, a real thump to the head, but it hit her all the same. She would imagine herself at her parents' house, What could possibly go wrong? Tra-la-la. In case you're wondering, and I'm sure you are, the holes close up once the travellers are far. Of course, Adele doesn't know this, so... Adele found a park, a corner rarely used, where she performed her magic, keeping hold of her muse in her mind, as best she could. But, you know, things happen.